HR supply chain, highlighting and showcasing solutions for the most complex challenges facing the industry in 21st century by our team of subject matter experts and mentors. Broadcasting every week, all year round, we will present the most up-to-date series of podcasts and webinars.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bicara Supply Chain. And this is Nur Hadi, your host. And today we have a very special guest, Pratima Amonkar, Microsoft APAC's leader for cloud and AI business strategy. Okay, so thank you for joining us, Pratima. It's great to have you on the show.
Hi, Nur Hadi, and thank you for having me here. Absolutely delighted.
Okay, so in today's episode, we're going to talk about diversity and inclusion as business drivers in the tech industry. However, before we get started, Pratima, could you please brief a little bit about yourself and your professional background?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again for having me here, Nur Hadi. I have more than 20 plus years of a career exclusively in tech. Did my bachelor's degree in math, postgrad in computer science. And in the past 20 years, I've headed business and tech functions at large technology companies like Rational Software, IBM, Sun, and so on. I've been with Microsoft now for a total of 12 years, and I've been leading functions in business across the APAC region. Currently, I head our cloud and AI strategy at APAC. And in this role, I really spearhead the work that we do to empower customers, partners, governments, citizens to digitally transform their businesses and their lives with the power of cloud and AI. So I'm in a very exciting place because I'm focused on supporting sustainable growth, economic growth through digital transformation. And that's the job that my team and I do around strategy planning and programs that help to leverage the power of the world's largest and most trusted cloud infrastructure network. In addition to this, I'm also an active member of the Diversity, Inclusion and Allyship Council at APAC, particularly in the field of accessibility and assistive tech, Nur Hadi. So I'm a vocal advocate and speaker on this. And as we go down this next 15-20 minutes, I'd love to share some views around this piece. So back to you, Nur Hadi.
Awesome. Okay, so to start off the discussion, Pratima, could you please tell us about the Microsoft commitment to diversity and inclusion?
Yes, absolutely. I'd like to begin with the thought that by sharing the idea that at Microsoft, we have a clear mission to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And really, Nur Hadi, what is very unique to our company is that these are not mere words. It's part of our core DNA. This is really the basics of how we work with our customers, our partners, our stakeholders, and internally with our people, our teams, and everybody. And what does this really mean? It means that, Nur Hadi, there are billions of people who want to achieve more, but have a different set of circumstances, abilities, and backgrounds that, so often lock them out of participating in the world that's happening around them. And we believe strongly that our mission to empower everyone will only be fulfilled when everyone is included and across the entire diversity of, range of human identities and differences. And incidentally, this is both visible and invisible. So it could even be beliefs, experiences, backgrounds, socioeconomics, and as well as what is very clear, like gender identity and so on.
Yeah.
So really, it's not like, it's centralized or top down. It's diffused across the company, and our cultural principles to everything from how we conceptualize and create products to how we treat our suppliers and anywhere we do with business, our customers, and so on. So in a nutshell, we integrate diversity and inclusion into our processes, behaviors, and operational rhythms. It is not a separate group or a separate initiative. It's part of every Microsoft employee's core commitments.
Mm-hmm.
And we strongly believe that, by working in this way, we achieve our aspiration for diversity and inclusion and our mission of helping every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And how does diversity and inclusion drive a business value, more specifically in the technology industry, Pratima?
Wow, such a lovely question. I love this question because this is what, this is how you can change the dialogue.
Yeah.
How do you drive business value? And tech industry is really where a lot of this discussion happens. I meet so many as you can see with cloud and AI, I meet with customers and partners and I get this question very often. So diversity, inclusion, and allyship, to my mind, are both a responsibility and an opportunity. We keep repeating this in Microsoft. The reason why is diverse and inclusive companies are not only more innovative and profitable, very surprisingly, and actually not very surprisingly, honestly, they are better at retaining top talent.
Yeah.
This talent actually stays to meet the needs of customers from a wide range of communities. So, the better you can represent global diversity within your company, the more prepared you will be to innovate and meet the needs of your customers. Do you know how many people in this world have disabilities, Nuradi? Would you be able to hazard a guess?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's 1 billion.
Oh,
1 billion people.
1 billion.
And this is not, this is what is visible, Niradi. There is so many invisible disabilities that people talk about. And many of them need assistive tech. But you know how many actually get that? Only 1 in 10 have access to the products needed.
Yeah.
So if you're a tech company and only 1 in 10 have access to the products needed, and you know that technology can be a game changer, that is why I say that this is an opportunity and a responsibility for all of us. And if we don't design for accessibility and you don't design for inclusion, you're basically excluding the huge segment of global population who could be a customer or an employee, right? There's masses of studies around this. So in a 2018 study done by Accenture, it was established that more diverse companies are more innovative. They outperform the competition by 35%. So that's if nothing else, it's a big driver.
Mm-hmm.
And another very, very huge driver that I'd like to bring to business leaders who are listening to us today, diversity and inclusion is very important to millennials. And millennials, guess what? They are going to be 75% of the global workforce by 2025.
Yeah.
And you know where they want to work? 62% of millennials said that on top of their list is a career with social impact and purpose. They want diversity and inclusion on top of their list.
Yeah.
So really it is about attracting that right talent and so on. One important thing also I'd like to bring before I close on this topic is that what we don't talk about enough is the human case. So, we have done many studies, and I know that all of you would have read these studies also. If a person is excluded, their mind, their brain is activated in the same way to the experience of physical pain. So a strong culture of inclusion is critical for employees to do their best work. So when a person feels excluded, they feel less productive. They don't think as intelligently. Studies have shown that they procrastinate, they become more frustrated. We are less likely to cooperate with others. So all this is really the human case, So that I think, if nothing else, the data shows us why it is important, but also all these pieces should make us realize that there is a very strong case for being deliberate, for actually working extra hard to be inclusive. And realize that when you don't intentionally include, and that is important, intentionally including, you actually end up unintentionally excluding people. And that is, that's a death knell for any business and any talent in the company.
Okay, Pratima, let's jump to another very important questions. What advice can you offer to the business leader on how to make the technology sector more inclusive?
Yep, great question. Again, something that the tech sector, continues. And I know that there are many, even non-tech sectors, traditional industries, etc., that really grapple with this, right? I think the success lies in a simple change of mindset in the space, which is to make diversity and inclusion a part of the core business, to manage it like a business. Which means that actually what one needs to do is think about a model where you look at diversity and inclusion as a systematic view to measure progress and actually set targets and work with it as a standard business model.
Yeah.
So let me take a real example. In Microsoft, we have done that. We work with our accessibility program in a very, very systematic model. In fact, we developed a model called the accessibility evolution model, which is based on something like a CMM kind of a model, where we look at dimensions by which we assess our own accessibility journey. It's freely available, so I'll be happy to provide this to any organization who wants to think about their own journey in the space. So we realize that, every organization around diversity and inclusion as well as accessibility will have their own criteria. All that I'm doing is sharing examples. It's not like, I'm telling you what you can do, but it's just basically to give people some sort of a thought of being able to trigger thought. So it should be all around people and culture. So our dimensions include people and culture. Any discussion around diversity, inclusion, accessibility should start with people and culture, because it really starts with that culture in the workplace and approaching inclusion in everything that you do. Then next we look at things like vision, strategy, engagement. You should also seriously consider where you are on investments, because one needs to deliberately invest to begin with. But then as you go down the path, you will realize that, it becomes less costly to be deliberate about accessibility, for example. And it's something that needs to be discussed right up front, and, you need to embrace it right from executive management onwards. Another important aspect or dimension I would like to bring to the notice of everybody who's listening is training, support, tools, awareness, very critical.
Yeah.
And it has to be a mixture of both culture training as well as, products and tools and processes kind of a thing. So it needs to also be there in that place. Then I would say for tech companies, super, super critical to think about accessibility as what we say that it should be a built-in versus a bolted-on, meaning put it at the heart of design. When you get started, tech companies here will hear it, and like the designer workflows should have accessibility right in front and center when you get started. The developer workflows should have, so, right from the build linking to discussions and support, everything should have accessibility built into that. You should have a good method of being able to collect user feedback so that it feeds back into the product development lifecycle for tech companies. I would also say finally that, being able to say the story, marketing and communications should be definitely involved. So for example, if you're releasing material or conducting an event, it should check for accessibility. So in a nutshell, I would say that, headline should be that manage it like a business. Think more about it as a systematic way and put in some methods to be able to judge progress, set targets, figure out where you would like to be at the end of the year, and see where you're headed to. Include it and define it as a core principle for the company as opposed to a separate initiative.
Okay, Pratima, before we finish today's conversations, do you have any other key takeaway that you would like to share with our audiences?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you again for this opportunity. And in conclusion, I would like to urge, in summary, as I said earlier, I'd like to urge everybody to move diversity, inclusion, allyship from an initiative or a project to a core value, which is part of the DNA, and really generate company-wide awareness about the business drivers. Remember, tech companies, that inclusion and particularly accessibility inclusion does not impede innovation. In fact, it fires and fuels innovation. So inclusivity is the generation of innovation. So join us in the journey to innovate and make the world a more inclusive world.
Awesome, Pratima. Okay, I actually still have a couple of questions, Pratima, but we are running out of time now. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, for sure, I look forward to speaking with you at another time. See you. Bye for now.
Bye.
At Bichara Supply Chain, we are committed to driving global perspective to embrace technological adaptation in improving process efficiencies. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share Bichara Supply Chain. And stay tuned for the latest updates. To learn more, visit our website www.bicharasupplychain.com. Thank you for listening to us. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode.